before you kick off the show, I will do a brief recap for everyone who's watching live, because this will be of no use to anyone who's listening on the podcast. But this Saturday, there is at Popham the X-Class and Wing Racing events that is happening. So there's going to be the X-Class time trial event that's being held around everywhere around the world, loads of places, setting up the same course, and everyone's just doing a time trial and comparing. So that's going to be happening at Popham. And also, they're hoping to have the wing racing around a sort of a slightly different version of the track, and also having a fun fly session for the wings. Greg from Manus is going to be there as well. They've got prizes from Foxeer, Dow Prop, HQ Prop, and the BDRA. A longer version a longer track for the wings, by the way, different version, longer version. It's going to be on the field. Like if you've been to one of the mini air show events at Popham, it'll be on the field where all the sort of fixed wing stuff was. So it's kind of across the track from where the netted racetrack used to be, because that's all been taken down. But on the big kind of model field, that's where all the X-Class and wing racing is going to be. They've got some massive gates and all sorts of stuff printed up, so that will be cool. So if you want to get involved, then get through ifpv.co.uk/events/184 is the sort of sign up link, or contact Fossil Stuff directly. That's probably the other way of doing things. So for people watching live, if you want to do some wing racing or some X-Class racing, that is the way to do it this Saturday at Popham Airfield.
Well, let's start the show. Yeah. Hello, and you're listening to Let's Drone Out.
Which one's this one?
I know.
The enthusiasm is palpable.
You're listening to Let's Drone Out. Tonight, we're excitedly joined by Gary Kitten, who's been out flying.
Hello!
And looking at Hornet porn. That's right, people. And we're joined by our Lord and Master, Andrew Frank.
Good evening.
Thank you for that lovely update on the wing racing and X-Class. It sounds very exciting. And I am Jack Bright to Left Fly. Hello, and welcome to the show.
Hello.
Oh, I've dropped my screw now. I had a fiddling with a screw, and I've dropped it.
What screw's that?
It's a really, really small one, but it goes
doesn't matter. It's lost forever now.
Yeah, I know. It's gone.
What have you been working on, or is it just an orphaned screw? Just a random screw that's on your desk?
It's for work. I got the plates back, and they didn't drill the holes out, so I'm having to. Every time I come here, I fettle and
just drilling holes in aluminium just with a needle file.
Yep, pretty much.
Wow.
I'm just being that guy.
Don't we have children in the Philippines to do this sort of stuff for you?
Well, either my measurements are wrong, which I haven't had a look to see whether I messed it up, but the last lot I had were fine. So I think they just forgot to run the drill through these. I'm not too sure.
You could just measure it, and if it's wrong,
send it back.
Give it back. Be like, you did it wrong. Right. Give me the right one.
Or give me. We're not paying for this.
I don't like it because they made a lot of mistakes. I'm not naming this company, but
which company is this? So we know not to use them for anything.
Can't say. If you meet me in person, I'll tell you.
Are you coming up to Popham on Saturday?
There's no fuel in Brighton. It sucks. They're still doing this.
There's not a lot of fuel around here, to be honest. I am looking at that. If it was a couple of weeks ago, I would definitely be saying no, I'm not going because I have no fuel. But I have filled up in that time, so feeling flush with fuel.
Yeah, I don't. I don't fancy my chances. I really don't. I want to go, but equally, like all my wings are all like iNav wings. I suppose I could fly them in manual mode, but
Yeah, although it'd be more fun just to do sort of a pre-calculated course and like I'm putting it in auto mode and let's see.
just hope for the best.
And just wait for it to just start flying off through all the like manned aircraft and like landing and taking
Yeah.
off, and just over the motorway through the petrol station.
It's still like iNav 2 point something, you know. Oh, Fettle, the original me. Yeah, Fettle. Yep, I'm sat here fettling away. It was embarrassing with our annual meeting. It looked like I was wanking, going micro wanking.
Badger RC reckons you should go racing with your flight test twin.
Flight test twin.
I think he means your mini guinea.
Oh, the
Isn't
mini
it-
guinea.
Is this not one of these spec races where everybody has to have the same setup then? Or is it just random?
Well, it's open spec. I don't know.
Open spec sounds
what that
interesting.
means.
It's a bit of an oxymoron, isn't it? It's like
Yeah.
here's the situation we've got. Here's your setup. By the way, it's open. So just change that motor out for something really big and see how fast it goes.
I think it's anything up to 900 millimeters. Could be wrong. I don't
The
know.
motor.
I don't think, it being sort of, again, the first wing racing event, like proper wing race, I suspect
just
they
want
probably
people there.
won't be turning people away.
enough.
Especially given that it's the middle of October in the UK, in the southeast, where there's no fuel, weather is questionable. I imagine they probably won't be turning people away.
It's kind of an interesting time of the year to do it, but beggars can't be choosers.
I think the main thing is the X Class event, which is on this day. All the people around the world they're doing X Class are setting up this very particular track, and they're all doing the same time trial at the same time. Clive FPV in the chat says it's the Aussies' fault, which sounds about right.
Yeah, if in doubt.
Get Tony to pick you up. Tony's got worst miles per the gallon out of all of
Tony's
us.
got like a real-time fuel gauge. You watch it and
It's not measured in miles per gallon, measured in gallons per mile.
Really?
And here were you guys making fun of me and my potential electric car, and you're like, "Oh, we
Yeah,
can't get any
because you're going to
fuel."
join a cult and you're going to be weird and like enjoy macchiatos
I'm already
and
weird.
flat
It's not
white.
going to make any difference.
Yeah, but we like you, our sort of weird, where you touch it. Now you're going to be. I swear to God, if I catch you getting to do that little dance thing, I am going to knife your tires.
What a
I hate
dance
that.
thing.
Like,
Can you charge up lipos from your Tesla? Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Does it have like a?
yeah. Oh God, I've seen.
I don't think so.
Yeah. That that May on High. The person who hates us. She done a whole vlog on
I
that.
try not to watch her because she hates us so much. The
I
other
know.
electric
I hope that
EVs
she
we were
hates
checking
me
out,
the most.
the Hyundai and the Kia, the new ones, the Ioniq 5 and the EV6, both had adapters, essentially because they're the same car made by two different sister companies, that you plug into the charge port and then you can plug like a regular 3-pin plug in it and run something off your battery that way. That was definitely different. Because what I got a load of comments because I reviewed some weird little power bank thing, which would like run 3-pin plugs, and everybody's like, this is pointless. In a year's time, everybody will just be charging straight off their cars because everyone will have massive batteries. There you go.
RC Robotics in the chat says, my dad's got a Model X. The 12-volt plugs come from the 24-volt normal car battery in the front. Which is the
The
one...
starter.
Yeah, the one that deals
The
with
starter.
the one that deals with all the security stuff, all the locks and everything. Is
Yeah.
if
And if you
that
break
goes
it,
flat, you can't get in, and it
yeah, you have to
doesn't charge that one up when it's plugged in at the wall at home. So if you just leave it at home for a long time, that one goes flat.
yeah, and then you have to take your like daylight running lights out, and then fish the pull cord that opens the bonnet in order to charge that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people in the habit of driving their electric cars, and then they drive it in, and then they open the bonnet just so, in the case that it decides to run that battery down, that they can then charge that battery to get in their car. It's ridiculous. Like,
Welcome to Let's Car Out.
it's your fault. It's your fault.
You
You're
start talking about
joining a
fuel.
weird cult.
Magical Pencil says you should just add an XT60 in the glove box.
You can't get into the glove box.
This
Car
is
says
your,
no.
This is your right to repair, Jack. You're just hacking your way out the Tesla.
Yeah, I'm going to buy a black Clat, name it Clinton, film it, meowing at me constantly, and go vegan, go to the gym a lot, get an Asian wife, and just complain on the internet. I am the whiter Lewis Rossman. That'd be amazing. Can you imagine if I did do that? I love that, man.
I can't go with become a vegan. I enjoy eating meat too much.
It'd be amazing, because then I'd be on a higher horse than Tony.
Yes. All you
Speaking of Tony
become an
again,
anti-vaxxer. Where's Tony?
Yeah.
Come back, Tony.
I've had my
Tony,
vaccine.
and I imagine he'll be flying X-Class on
Should we
Saturday.
call Tony? I haven't got my
Oh
phone.
yeah, that's. I was going to say how many people are expected with X classes, because there's not, I suppose, that many. It's not like, you know, hundreds of people are going to turn up with massive quads, is there? Because there's just not that many about.
I think there's more than you imagine, though. We shall see.
There's
on Saturday.
definitely more than I imagine, because I only imagine about 4. There's probably more than that.
Hopefully. But yeah,
Crash nest.
I forgot where I was going to go with that.
There's more than you thought.
Okay, Tony, Saturday, X-Class event at Popham. No. Train of thought gone. Oh well.
Oh well.
Curry, you've been flying. What have you been flying? How'd that go?
It was a mix of stuff. I had a bit of a backlog since I've been taking time off while my knee's been hurty. I managed to finish building some review stuff, but I went out on Wednesday to the farm. If you've watched my videos, I occasionally go to a farm where occasionally cows eat my planes, and I flew my old Holybro Coppice 2, having updated it to the latest beta flight and putting the TBS Tracer 69 in so I could test that out and fly it with the TBS Mambo, and that was very good. The tracer works very well. The LQ of 100 looked like it was just going to burn its imprint in my goggles. It didn't drop whatsoever at all. I could only go out to about 1 kilometre, and then I ran out of space. I had to come back again. So that was good. My Aquila, which is sitting down here actually, which has its top off. This is a little frame from Rush FPV and STP. I had this in the garden and turned it on, and I got satellites. So when I took it to the field to test it out, the idea of this is kind of lightweight, long range thing. Obviously, Bi-blade's more efficient, I'm told. Might be wrong. Don't know. I should explain that the frame is lovely and spanking new. Everything else is like offcuts. It's all from my spares box. So the fact it flew at all is not bad. But got it to the field, I could not get a single satellite. So something has gone adrift on that one. I was trying to work out what it was. So I need to do some more testing of that in the garden, but that flew okay. Again, that's on Express LRS, and we got to 1 kilometre. And it's a bit inevitable now. I'm testing out all these radio systems, and I was like, I've only got this much space before I hit a road, and I'm sorry, the signal has not changed from full. So it will probably go further, but that's all I can tell you. It will go a long way. Yeah, and then I flew remember the Race Whoop 30 with the multicoloured things.
Yeah.
Where is that?
Your refreshers, love hearts machine, Palmer Violet, all of that.
The classic I'm colourblind, so I chose this one thing. What they said is like these 5-bladed props, much quieter than the old Cine Whoops. Doesn't have as much material around it. Much quieter. Lies. All lies.
Complete
It was just insane. There was... See, it's like my sister-in-law's farm, and 2 fields over, they have a small sort of caravan site. And I was terrified, because this thing sounds like some sort of like swarm of demonic wasps. Literally.
Back to the
kill
Hornets
things.
again.
Yep.
Yeah, that's my segue for later. Shh, don't ruin it. And yeah, this was insanely loud, and with a full GoPro, because they said, oh yeah, it's a bit lighter than the other stuff. I kept turning, and the nose kept dropping, so I crashed it twice, just trying to fly at regular acro. And I was doing, because it said you can do like light freestyle, so I thought, yeah, I'll test it out. So every time I sort of did a flip, I could hear it, and I could hear like, because obviously you pump the throttle, you throttle off, you do your manoeuvre, and then you're kind of floating, and you don't expect that much noise from it. On this one, I could hear the motors spinning up, and it was moving around. So I think the thing is such a wind capture device that in order to try and keep its position, the motors spin up all the time, and the whole thing was... It didn't fly very nicely, but I took it out again yesterday into the woods, where I sometimes fly like little things, just trying to go between the trees and that. And I kind of got the hang of it a bit more, and it was a case of like knowing when to really pump the throttle and stuff. And I hit some trees, and I eventually broke a prop, which I was quite proud of, because it's built for toughness. I've just lost my earplug. But what, and Stephen mentioned this, the fact it's like got these pusher props. It's like, so I crashed off a tree, it landed upside down, and I was like, I'm not quite sure where that is. Let's see if I can turtle mode over and fly back. So I did, took off, and it sounded even worse. It sounded like really bad. And I came over and I looked at it and said, look at that, not a single piece of damage. Took off again, still sounded bad because it had some leaves stuck in it, so I pulled those out. And then when I looked, it had lost 2 or 3 of the blades of one of these 5-bladed props. I thought, that's why it's got that noise. So, yes, the problem with taking off from the ground when the props are literally on the ground is that you can smash things up. And I also flew that massive F450 trying to get it ready for OpenHD, and that was a complete disaster. So I'm rethinking that one. That was like trying to fly a breeze block, which has been like hit by a sledgehammer, and you're trying to take control of it, and it's just like this. I couldn't even land it. I had to put it in return to home just to bring it back again, because I was like, I can't see where I'm going. That was my week. Fun times.
Couldn't see where you were going because of the OpenHD, or?
No, I haven't got OpenHD in it yet. It's got regular FPV in there and iNav, because I wanted to make sure iNav was going well, and I thought let's do a bit of tuning on it. And I'd taken it out before, and I had my old Opto, the old 30 amp Opto ESCs that speak PWM, and that was all shaky and looked bad. I was like, okay, we've got to go and try and put something more up to date, because this is the old rose tinted spectacles. I was like, this was the smoothest quad ever when I had my NASA on it, and it had my GoPro. And then I went back and watched my videos from 9 years ago, and what I thought was like smooth then was just the fact that I could see where I was going, and it was all horrible. But we remember it as being like, this is amazing. Of course it was amazing, because we were flying and not crashing and could see where we're going. But that's not the same as being smooth. And and that's why I changed all the ESCs out for something that could run D-Shot, albeit D-Shot 300. And I thought this would give at least a fighting chance of being able to spin the motors up and break them better. But of course, these are 900 kV motors with 10-inch props. So these aren't things that you can very quickly respond to. And this has always been a problem with things like Betaflight and iNav. As soon as you get to bigger quads, it takes a lot more effort. But it was so bad that I thought, you know what, I'm just going to give up on this. I'm going to move this to a quad that I already know flies well and just stuff it in. Because the only reason I was using that quad is I thought, I've got loads of space there, I can fit this in easy. But actually I've decided that's a bad idea, and the best idea is choose a quad, of which there are many hanging around here, that already flies, and just find a way of stuffing the Raspberry Pi in there and making it work. And if I have to gaffer tape stuff on, then we'll just do that and we'll see how it goes. So that's the new plan.
It's shown out where the moderators outnumber the fans. No, it's a Patreon thing. It's so that if you Patreon, it's so that you can post links and stuff. It literally
That's my boy
costs
Richard,
$1.
who's just recovered from COVID and still says he can't taste anything.
Oh.
Who has just dispatched a plane for me for another OpenHD project.
So this is a real life friend.
Yes, we've had it on the show that time.
Ah, jolly good. I was going to say, like, yeah, we could make them a moderator if anyone wants to tab into Let's Try Now. One of us.
Shall I explain the Hornet reference?
Yes.
Since we've got nothing to talk about, so we need to fill, don't we? Just before we came on, I was talking, and people will appreciate this. You go onto YouTube, and it's like, suggested for you. And for some reason, the suggested for me was this video from a channel called Hornet Removal, which is this, I don't know if they're Chinese or some Asian country, where basically a bunch of guys find these, they call them murder hornets. You know, these big Asian hornets, like this big, that can literally kill people. Like a couple of stings from these things, you're out of it. And one of the most interesting things I saw about their first video is how they tracked a hornet back to its nest. Now, I'm not sure how they do it in terms of this. They put out some, sugary solution, and of course the wasps and insects are attracted to it. So you've got this giant hornet, which looks like, a small rodent, sucking up this sugary drink, and somehow they tie a little ribbon on it. I don't know. They haven't shown that.
Do they catch it, then freeze it?
I don't think
so. That's how I would do it.
They're that high tech. It's just like a ribbon goes on it. Anyway, as soon as the ribbon's on, and I think the hornet's so distracted by the sugary liquid, because you see the ribbon on it, it's still drinking away. The thing takes off, and you can see like a ribbon behind it, and it's like it's doing like a streamer plane. So then they take off in a drone, and they follow this little streamer in the sky, and from this they get back to this hornet nest, which I thought they'd be in trees, but they're apparently these underground burrows, these like Asian hornets, and it's like the traditional sort of wasp nest, but all underground. So they get in there, they don these like hazmat suits, so they can't get stung, and then they have the very high tech thing of getting an old like plastic bottle, putting it on the entrance, whacking it, and all the hornets basically flood up the bottle, and then they catch the rest and basically take the nest out that way. But the fact that they
how big's the bottle?
It's like, sort of 3 litre bottle, but it doesn't get all of them. So there's still like these massive hornets all flooding over them, trying to sting them, and then they're out. Imagine a small fish net for goldfish. You see these guys just doing this. Just catching these hornets and then shoving them in the bottle. It's bizarre. I don't know how that got in my suggested video, but having watched 2 of them, there's now just rows and rows of hornet videos. Whenever I go on YouTube now, I can't get away from it.
The algorithm has determined you have an interest in hornets.
You seem to like hornets. Look at this. Really weird. But I thought that's a really interesting way of using a drone, and it kind of fits into RC because the whole we like following things with streamers. That's fun. and you can attach them to insects now.
And Badger RC says he saw a video of a drone with a flamethrower setting fire to a wasp's nest recently.
But there you go.
Similar note.
Similar
There we
note. It sounds more cruel if you use a flamethrower.
Is it this stuff? Is that the suits?
That looks like the suits. Their suits are a little bit less tech. Let me find the video I had, because they've actually got this thing with the thing around it. Hang on, where are we? Share.
This is insane.
Chrome tab.
Oh my god, my skin's crawling.
You can see that they've got the little thing around it, which is just about the weirdest thing I think you'll ever see, isn't it?
Yeah, you freeze them.
Are you sure about that? How do you know?
Yeah.
Are you an expert on hornets?
No, they do that to like spiders and flies and stuff. Freeze them, chill them out. They get all docile and slow.
It's amazing when it flies, because you'd think you'd lose sight of it pretty quickly, but look at it go. You can see it for miles, can't you? I had no concept of this was, but yeah, they just, as soon as they get in there, it's slightly less high tech. They dig a hole, they get buzzed with massive hornets, and inside that hole is these giant nests full of like larvae and stuff. And look at the size of those things.
Why don't I just kill it with fire? That is nightmare fuel. That is literally nightmare fuel.
That's horrendous, isn't it? And I mean, it's not like a
How many
wasp
stings?
or something.
How many stings till it kills you?
I don't know. These are pretty serious insects. I saw it was on Deadly 60 when that used to be a thing, and there were like a couple of stings from these guys can take you out. Obviously, any slight allergy towards that sting, and you're out of it immediately.
That would be bad.
But yeah, that's the random rabbit hole I've been doing, and none of the videos in English. I don't really they chat it through with the camera, and I was like, I don't know what he's saying, but it's just really interesting to watch. How many times can you say, we found the hornets, we're going to dig them up, put them in a bottle, and kill them all now, so they don't they don't do anything else? Who knows?
2 inches long.
Enough about you, Jack. Drones. We're getting a selection of favourite wasp videos in the chat now.
It's not just me. I think there's been a big push.
Yeah, we're moving on from FPV and drones to drone wasps.
I mean, to be fair, if you can put a streamer on it, you can probably put one of those little all-in-one cameras, couldn't you?
And then can you get just like a tiny little servo with like a dab of sugar just on the end of it on a little arm, just so you go one way or the other.
Like carrot and a stick.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do it. It'd be a bit like Pickle Rick when he turns into a pickle and he has to use his tongue to probe that like rat's brain to try and get it to move. We'll just probe that hornet, make it fly in different directions.
Well, changing the subject slightly. Happy birthday, Caroline. I hope you enjoy your TX16S that you got given. And what else did you get? You did.
Speaking of which, does anyone know whether I can flash this with non-LBT?
I don't know. There's R series of receivers.
The Radio Master receivers? No idea. Probably.
If anyone knows, that would be amazing.
What else has happened recently? It was the BDRA Championships on the weekend. The Nationals. It looked like it went very well. Looked like they had some pretty reasonable weather. It was at BMFA Buckminster, and they just took over the field for the day by looks. Well, for the weekend by looks of it. And have the big inflatable track and everything. It was all over the weekend. Harry Holmes won it. Congratulations, Harry. Yeah, that's the. I mean, I had a look through the stream. I didn't watch the entire thing because it is all streamed. It's under what is it under? It's called Drone Racing Streams. Is the channel on YouTube. BDRA British Championships, and you can watch the entire stream. There's like 6 hours each day or something like that. But yeah, I didn't see anyone using any digital stuff. But then I guess I wouldn't. Like if it was digital, then I guess it wouldn't be picked up and streamed. But it looked pretty impressive. Like 13-second laps and things. Quite a big complex track. Like I think I would struggle to get through a gate in 13 seconds. So
I certainly wouldn't remember the track layout. I think I saw, because I didn't watch any of it, but I've seen people posting little bits on Facebook and stuff. Like I saw Cerebrus. What's his name again? I'm just going to say Cerberus. Cerberus. Yeah, I saw some of his laps, and I think the biggest obstacle with me in racing wouldn't be the fact that I'd hit all the gates. It would be the fact I couldn't remember where I was going. It's like
that was my problem.
Through that
I had a
and
Frank.
then round there.
Yeah, I had to be navigated.
Can't we just have a big oval or something? We could cope with that.
Yeah, Speedway, NASCAR. You know,
Yeah.
Get the old beer bellies out and flip some barbecue.
Kind of trim left a bit. Be all right.
Yeah.
We like that.
Full throttle the
we
whole
use
way.
like a wing racing
Sister.
course where you just have poles and you're like outside of that pole, and that's good enough for me.
Yeah. Yeah, co-pilot. That's right, Dave.
Yeah, I think I was just like telling you like line of sight what way you needed to go.
No, it was terrible. I'm so bad at it. I did not know. Oh man, all the keys are like falling off my keyboard. It's horrendous.
What's the keyboard update? You only had one key missing before. Did you buy that set of keycaps?
No, I got in a fight with the person on eBay. And they blocked me.
That's an even better story.
What did you do?
How
Did
can
you not pay
I'd
them?
like to buy these keys, please. Here's my PayPal. And
here's my
what could
offer,
be easier?
and they declined it twice. And then on the final one, I told him to stick the keys up his arsehole. If he wanted £4 for one key.
Oh dear.
And then he blocked me.
£4 for one key. Wow. Is it not made of gold or something?
So, luckily, because I'm doing all this fettling, I've now got my file, and I just use that to press the L key.
It's a good thing there aren't many L's in LDO or Bright Until I Fly.
You know, an entire keyboard is less than £4 on Amazon, yeah?
I like this keyboard. Well, I don't
I don't know
love
why
it,
the keys
but
keep coming off.
He blocked himself with the key. I didn't. I know it's bad. Yeah, so I'm still missing an L key. So if it carries on, F9's gonna get it. And
You're just gonna like take the F9 key off and put it where the L key is. Makes sense. Just get a little bit of Tipex, write an L on it.
Yep, that's my plan.
Actually, what am I saying? It's you. It doesn't really matter. Just space bear it.
Yeah, I know. Oh, the glorious day. I was thinking about that. The glorious days of Space Bear and the dog. What was the dog called? Pickles.
Oh, you mean for the KFC game?
Yeah.
This won't make any sense to
that.
90% of the people watching this.
I miss those days, man. Playing games with Curry Kitten. It was awesome. So.
I've seen in the Discords that there's been a few people, mainly Numbskull and Belric, Stephen, who have been getting on the shark bite train and been hunting around for cameras and receivers and things and just snapping them up when they become available. Is that? I mean, is that anything? I mean, you've got your OpenHD, Curry. You're going that way. It seems like.
I'm going that way because it's cheap and I've already bought some pies, so I'm there. Yeah.
What about you, Jack? Are you not being tempted away from analog at all?
No. I don't. Oh, Danielle Upton, can we just set up a GoFundMe for Jack to get a new keyboard? No, I don't know. I'm still undecided on what to. I want an open thing for HD goggles, and I'm not too sure.
RC Robotics. Yes, there is a LDO Discord, which hopefully you should be able to find in the description below. Should be a link in there if
Open it
it's
now.
still is valid, which it should be.
The reason I just disappeared was to show you something which I thought was quite interesting. This is a Raspberry Pi Cm4, which means it's a compute module, which is very small compared to the regular Raspberry Pi because you don't have all the
shiny
pins, you don't have all the thingies. And somebody called Flavio in Italy has produced this open source piece of hardware called the. Hang on. I should say it right if I'm going to say it. It's written on this instruction. Hold on. The Ochin. OCHIN. Like that. Which is this thing, which has connectors there and there to fit the compute module on, like so. And then what you do on the top, you then fit this on, and you'll notice this has various holes for mounting. And so you end up with sort of this situation, like this little stack. And then on top of the stack, you would put on your flight controller. And thus you end up with a much neater solution for like OpenHD. And what this has done, it's got regular pads here. So you can put like a regular battery in it. It does all the voltage regulation there. And then it's got normal connectors. So you can run USB out of these to your Wi-Fi module. And you've got UARTs here to connect your telemetry to your flight control and stuff. So that should be a much neater solution. So much better than your regular big Raspberry Pi is what.
Yeah, because that looks like what, credit card sized? Is that about right? Maybe even a little bit shorter and squarer.
Slightly smaller, much smaller than. Let's see. I've got what's this? This is an Esc board, so this is a 30mm by 30mm sort of thing. So you can see it's not that much bigger.
Yeah, it's a tiny little bit wider than a 30 by 30 board, and a little bit longer, about a centimetre longer or something like that.
Yeah, so it's not stupidly longer. And the idea of this one is to go in the plane that Richard has just dispatched to me to see how that goes together. But I thought that was an interesting idea. The only thing that's slightly lacking as far as OpenHD goes, and there's this other one called. It's called Ruby HD or something like that. Someone else has written something. Is the cameras. The cameras are all a bit naff. And they use that CSI connection, which is this massive ribbon cable, which aren't the best for flexibly doing things. So that's the only issue I've got with that. But that should be interesting.
And the other
thank
thing
you, Richard.
with...
Richard Warwick's just linked to the GitHub for me there.
There you go.
That's
God
really
bless
handy.
Richard Warwick.
And the other thing with OpenHD, as far as we've seen so far on your ground vehicles, anyway, I think there's a fair bit of latency, right, compared to other systems.
I think we're looking at about 100 milliseconds is the best it's looking at the moment. One thing I've organised doing after I get my next OpenHD project is talking to the guys that are running at the moment it's basically a Patreon they're running to try and create a sort of single board to replace the Raspberry Pi. The idea of this is they can have their own chip that will be specialised in encoding and decoding video, because that's the latency at the moment. It's like using a single board computer runs a whole bunch of OS code and other stuff, and it's like, oh, we'd like you to compress this video. It's like, yeah, I'll get to that. So yeah, there's this delay because it's doing other stuff. If you look at stuff like the DJI goggles, they've got specialist silicon that literally just takes this image, compresses it into something small, squirts it through the goggles, and so the latency is very small. And if you can replace a single board computer with a specialized chip that just does this one thing, you can bring that down a lot. So these guys are doing their own designs to try and do that. So I'm hoping to talk to them in the next few months to see how far they've got along there. So they're trying to get at the moment they're aiming for about 60 millisecond latency, which is similar to what the what's it called, the other single board computer, which has got all these NVIDIA cores on it, which I now can't remember. The Jetson Nano.
Jetson Nano, yeah.
The Jetson Nano, because it's much faster, can bring that latency down a little bit. So bringing it down to that might be even better. But I'm fully intending to now, having failed dismally on the F450 with iNav, I'm like, screw it, I'm just going to put it on a Betaflight quad, which is going to fly fast. And if I crash into stuff, then I know it's not suitable for that. But I can also fly, more conservatively if I have to, and see how it goes, really.
I saw in the chat earlier that RC Robotics' plan for the weekend is to mess around with some carbon fiber to make a new version of his Black Hornets again, which is the little helicopters that were made for the military and sort of going around social media a while back, and he's been making increasingly nice little scale models of them. I guess scale, 1-to-1 scale, kind of. And the other kind of bit of carbon fiber that's also been floating around recently, I mean, it's been posted in the chat from Josh Bardwell's just done a video on it yesterday of the Qubit, which is a tiny, well, not tiny, it's like a toothpick sized quad, but with a couple of carbon fiber wings going between sort of the front two motors and going between the back two motors. So it's kind of got aerodynamic lift from those. And I saw that going around a while back, and I didn't think it was really going to go anywhere. But it seems like, I mean, if Josh Bardwell's covering it, that's probably going to go somewhere. Yeah, that's quite an interesting idea. I don't really know. I mean, I guess kind of like your long-range GPS cruiser you were showing off earlier, Carrie. I guess that's kind of where that's going to sit. Because, I mean, if you've got a bit more aerodynamic lift, that's going to be good for cruising.
I guess so. The interesting thing about flying that, and maybe this is the same for that sort of thing, and I've seen the thumbnail of the video, I haven't watched it, so I haven't seen it all, is I didn't really notice like it was easy to fly in terms of pushing through the air and stuff. I got 9 minutes out of a little 850 battery, but when I was doing sort of some light acro, when I sort of went upside down and came out of it, I noticed the thing dropped like a stone. So clearly the thing must cut through the air quite nicely, else it would just, I expected a regular quad to float. So that'd be interesting with the wings, because you'd expect it to be more floaty, I guess. It's kind of like you want to cut through the air easily, but at the same time you want to use these wings to your aerodynamic advantage to sort of not have to put so much energy into it. I'll have to watch the video.
Yeah. I'm a bit confused because they've got like these little winglets at the end of them that I imagine are going to do quite well aerodynamically, but I'd have thought that's going to make them a bit too stable. You're going to end up something that is a bit more like a wing. I don't know. We'll see. Be interesting to see kind of if other people kind of pick that up as well and have a go messing around with some other ways of doing it. But yeah, I saw it a while back, and he was like posting up almost like a crowdfund, I think, for getting a bunch of these wings made, and you could either buy the whole thing or just the wings. And I was looking at the wings and just like, I don't know. I'd quite like to have a go at this project because it's the sort of thing that's up my street. But on the other hand, it seems like a lot of money for a couple of things that I'm not convinced are going to
It
do
also
much.
seems like something that would be fun to bodge. Like, just get some
Yeah.
cardboard, gaffer
Yeah.
tape it to a frame and see what happens.
Exactly.
The
Especially
Tony
now
way of
I've got
things.
a laser cutter just sitting there waiting for me to do things with.
That's too posh. Old shoebox, pair of scissors.
Yeah.
That'd be quite fun. Yeah, I suppose if you take it to the extreme, where you're like much more of a wing surface with a quad, you've basically got like a VTOL plane, haven't you? But perhaps without wing surfaces. But I suppose it might be interesting, certainly. How is your VTOL wing? Any progress on it?
Since scaring the shit out of myself with it,
You could take it wing
done it
racing
again.
on Saturday.
I could take it wing racing on Saturday. I'm not going to.
I saw the video of you like, oh, this is after me flying, and it was just like you're shaking, trembling a hand.
Yeah, it was a handful. It took me quite a while to calm down after that one. It's a little bit energetic. Needs a bit of tuning. I am very close to giving up with Pilot and just sticking iNav on it and assuming it will probably work better, or even Betaflight or something. I don't know. I just want the idea that it can stabilize both in quad mode and in bicopter mode and in wing mode. I
Did
really like that.
any of you see Daniel, RC Test Flight latest video
Oh,
where he
they're
tows
so
himself up and down the Seattle River for
Yeah.
like 16 hours without weeing once? That was interesting because that guy is so experienced on RD Pilot. He's done a lot with it. But if you notice, if you look at his screen all the way through, it keeps saying like compass unhealthy all the way through.
Sensor,
and then,
gyro
at some
sensor
point,
unhealthy.
it just
or something.
decides to turn off and go into a boat. And another time, the entire thing just decides to stop working and he has to reboot it. But aside from that, it was a fun video.
Do they do many updates for it, or is it just been released and that's it? Have they stopped working on it?
No, there are updates on it. But it's more iNav than Betaflight.
Yeah,
Really.
it used to be very heavily funded by what was it? 3D Robotics that did that.
3D
I don't think
right?
it is so anymore. I guess it's more.
Yeah. Well, I think
obvious to
they kind of
Even Vector's gone, hasn't
spawned
it?
that off. I think because
the
they
whole
were
of Eagle Tree went, didn't they?
3DXR. I think started off basically just using literal Arduinos and that software and sort of putting kind of kits together and selling those. I think from memory, from way back when. But then it's kind of evolved quite a lot since then.
Indeed.
But the RC Test Flight videos are so good, especially like with the music now as well, like the songs.
The sea shanty.
Yeah, well, this time it was a sea shanty, but like he's had ones for his Chronoplan and all sorts.
Yeah, they are a lot of fun.
I miss Gwyn though. Gwyn was quite fun. Like when he used to fly with her, that was really good. But yeah, that's a while. I haven't seen Gwyn for ages, so I don't know what the deal is with that. But it was just it's just like it's amazing what he gets up to, and like even like fiberglassing stuff and that. It is tempting because you've seen like Flight Test do that lately, haven't they? Fiberglass their foamies and that. You could just imagine like someone like Lurgy doing that and being an absolute weapon.
Yeah, doing like a wing, like a race wing. I think Fossil has been talking about that for years, so I wonder whether he might bring something on Saturday.
My good buddy Richard from the chat did try that once on, what was it? It was it was like a sort of Bixler type plane, but I think it went fine until the last coat, and then he got some sort of dribbles in it. So you ended up with this thing where the fiberglass was like smooth, but down the bottom of the plane it like congealed into this block, and I think that plane had to be scrapped and tried again. It's quite tricky to do, or tricky to get right. Easy to do, tricky to get right, I think.
Looks like audio pilot-based RC drones might be impossible to insure for commercial work under the rules in the near future.
Why is that then?
Yeah, I don't know why that would be.
Because there's some really big commercial companies that are behind some of the one of these sort of steering committee things that have sort of taken that code and putting their own stuff on it and selling very expensive sort of commercial products.
Yeah, it's like quite a big thing for the really high end stuff. If they're doing something a bit more funky than you can do with just DJI Matrice. I mean, yeah, they're not going to be able to get it like a C rating and sell it directly to people that way, but I imagine they'll be kind of developing things and selling them as a service, I imagine, more than anything. Because I guess that will be a thing, is all the, at some point, if you are selling a kit or a ready to fly model or an almost ready to fly model or anything like that, you will have to get it C rated, like the C0, C1, C2, C3, C4, I think it goes up to. Yeah, so I guess that would be an issue, but I wouldn't have thought it would stop you from building one. Maybe the insurers would have something to say about it. I don't know. Not really had anything to do with
well,
any
hence why he said like insure for commercial work.
Yeah, but he also said under the rules.
Tailspin's talking about having to be CE certified.
Yeah.
What, yourself or?
Well, C certifications are for drone, kits or ready to fly or anything in between those two being sold. So if you just build one yourself, that's never going to have to be C certified unless they change the rules. But they have. There's nothing saying that will ever be the case. They have specifically got a thing there for if you're building something yourself, you don't have to worry about C certification.
Yeah. Am I right in thinking in your previous job you had a whole C certification?
We did some things that were, we designed and made that were C certified. We got CE certification for.
Yeah, how do you go about doing that? Like, especially with a drone, surely that's you got frequency, don't lick it with the lead solder.
Well, it depends what it is and what you're selling it for and how different it is from stuff that's on the market already and the bits that you're building it with and all this kind of thing. Like, if you're taking stuff that individually all has a load of certification on it, like if everything you're building it with already has EMC certification and stuff like that, then it's quite easy to just have another bit of paper that just says, yeah, everything in it is fine, therefore it is fine as well. A lot of what we were doing was a case of going, we were actually self-certifying, which is a thing that you can do for certain things. We were actually we've during the height of COVID problems, we were self-certifying medical devices because we could, and it was but it can go from, depending on what you're doing, it can go from writing a bit of paperwork and saying, yes, this is safe, because it is obviously safe and I don't have to prove anything else, up to years of testing and getting other third parties with very special laboratories doing loads of things to it. Toys, particularly, like medical devices and toys, are like the two most difficult things to do. And yeah, like I wouldn't want to get involved in trying to get something with a toy certification. So to get something C0 certified, I think is probably going to be a massive pain in the ass. And I wouldn't want to.
It makes you wonder how Lego ever got sold. Did they not just do a simple test where someone stands on a piece and shrieks in pain and said, "This can't be certified"?
Oh, Lego do a lot of testing. They like, it's crazy the sorts of things that they do for getting a new Lego brick certified.
That is interesting because they're all small enough to be swallowed, and if you stand on them, they hurt like hell. So,
well, that's why they'll have the age rating on it that will be like 4 and above or something like that.
The sad onion.
Yeah, and the Lego Men heads have now breathable holes so that when you choke on it, you can breathe through the little.
Because it's got to be bigger than a certain size, and it's got to have holes no smaller than a certain size, and there's so much.
Yeah, Robin FPV makes a good point. How did they test that? That's the wrong. I've just stuck the wrong one up. There we go. Do they stick them up children's noses, plus get them to eat them, just to test this out? We want to make sure this comes out in the poo undigested, so you're not absorbing any of the Lego brick toxins.
Yeah, is it true that like Lego doesn't photodegrade or break down and become brittle and stuff as well? That's why there's like tons of it on a beach somewhere.
They'll have a load of UV stabilizers in there, I'm sure, because it is expected to last for quite a long time.
Yeah,
just to let people know, we've done Hornets. We're moving on to Lego bricks.
Badger, what a legend! Lego bricks was certified by the same lab that passed the 3-pin plug. Oh,
BS 1465. What is it? I can't remember. It's been too long. Richard Work has got more of the comment that he was referring to. He says, I was trying to get all the drones we use for research insured through my university's insurer, and they only accepted to insure the DJI ones, classing the others as home built and refusing to insure it. So now I have hundreds of pounds of Arduino base tech that I can't really use anymore, as I'm not willing to risk flying them uninsured for work purposes. I mean, yeah, if you're flying something commercially, you need to have commercial life insurance. I can imagine that they wouldn't want to do something that you're classing as home built, but maybe then you have to find a different insurer that's got a different way of doing it. I mean, that's just, I don't know. That's way out of anything that I know about.
I wonder
don't know anything about commercial insurance.
I wonder if, like, you could like pay someone to build it, or like a little MOT for drones. Like.
Well, I imagine that's probably. I mean, that's probably gonna have to be a thing, right? Is that if you're building something that you want to use commercially, you're probably gonna have to talk to the CAA about it. I mean.
Yeah. By the way, I checked out. The laws you were telling me about, the whole. You had a friend with the one wheel and everything, and the whole laws of electric scooters and stuff. You were right, and it is absolutely horrendous. It's like, if it hasn't got an MOT, you get 3 points. If it's not insured, you get another 3 points. And like, it's like 24 grand fine. If you don't have a license, that's £1,000 fine. I was like, I looked that up because, like, not that Frank, I ever doubted you, Frank, for a second, but I was like, let's have a look, and I was like, bloody wow. That is, do not ride motorized scooters or bikes or anything.
Yeah.
There's the
personal
police will
electric vehicles that aren't, like, apart from a bicycle that is, an e-bike, but it is only pedal assist. That is the limit of what is legal. Anything else, you could lose your license for if you're not careful.
It seems like the police aren't going after people, though, because I see e-scooters around everywhere.
It
people
does
riding
depend
around?
where. Like, if you're going, as a friend of mine knows from sore personal experience, if you're going around in the bike lanes of London during commuter time, there are police standing on the street corner waiting to go, I think that's an electric vehicle. Can you come over here, please? I'm seizing that and putting that on the back of a, clamping vehicle, and you're going to have to retrieve it from the pound and get 6 points on your license.
What you need then is to not have a driving license. I always find it interesting for people that have no license, then caught stealing cars, and then they have the license suspended that they don't have.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be like that.
You should have your license suspended for joining a motor vehicle cult.
I had to explain to the physio. Sorry, I was just going to say, I had to explain to the physio that I saw last week when she was looking at my other knee that looked a bit lumpy. I said, what happened to this one? I said, I fell off a skateboard. And she said, when was that? I said, I don't know, 2 years ago. And she's like, what? I said, what were you doing on an electric skateboard 2 years ago? Oh, yeah, falling off of it, mate. Going to
Does
hospital.
an electric skateboard count as an electric vehicle?
Yes.
Like, oh my god.
I don't have an electric skateboard. I have a remote control skateboard that I occasionally stand on and then fall off. That's different. It's just another RC ground vehicle.
That is actually an interesting thing. Like, if you were driving it around just remote control, would that be fine?
I think so.
Insured by the BMFA, you'd have insurance.
Because like, if
That's
otherwise, it would mean that, like, driving a radio controlled car around
that I just happened to be stood on. Illegal?
I don't know how that works.
Oh,
I
man,
found the loophole.
Tune in next week where we find out
what happens if you take like an quad bike, put a radio control on it, and just drive that around the streets.
They'll probably do you for terrorism.
If you're literally sat there with your little controller going like this and turning the wheel, I think you'll be okay.
Yeah, that's the point, right? What happens if you're on an electric scooter, right, but it's not being controlled by you? It's being controlled by someone in the passenger seat of a car next to you. You're just on it, but you're not in control of it.
It feels like everyone's in so much more trouble than if you were just riding a scooter in the first place.
Well, I was just thinking, like, how far could you push that? I mean, what happens if you take an untaxed, unregistered car and radio control it? Like, is that all of a sudden fine to just drive around the streets? Like,
it's still a radio controlled car, not an actual car. No skin in the game.
That's right, but you wouldn't be able to drive it on the streets, would you?
No.
But that's what I mean. If no one's in it and you're just driving it around radio control, is that a vehicle?
That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
I think we found plenty of loopholes.
Join in next week from HMP Ford.
Yeah. No worries, guys. You've been listening to Let's Drone Out. Big massive thank you to all our patrons and people who tune in to watch this crap. We love you. Frank, roll the thing. Yep, thank you. I will be on the Thursday night show from 12 till 1, I believe. I think. So if you want to I know we're even worse than Let's Drone Out. Yeah, 12 till 1. And you've been joined by everyone's favourite Curry Kitten.
Goodbye.
Andrew / Frank.
Bye.
And I've been Bright Till I Fly, and you've been listening to Let's Drone Out. Thank you guys. Good night.
Bye.
We have to wait for the lames to go past.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks all. You need to start out quicker next time.
Yeah.
Well, no, Frank's not on it. It's fine. I still need to send the edited audio of me snoring. Yeah, smash the like button and subscribe, you little bastards. Oh,
Zero comes in late.
Zero with the $10. €10.
€10.
Worth more than our money now.
That'll buy 3 houses.
I know.
Or a
Can't
cup of
we won't-
petrol.
Yeah, we won't be able to. Won't be able to.
Speak.
Like power our houses with electricity. That delicious Euro electricity. Thank you, Zero. Ooh. Oh, bit too close to the old mic there.
Question is, does Jack's ceiling have a massive black mark over where he sits now because of all the smoke?
No, the only thing it does do is cover my desk in Zero's the best mod. He's an actual mod. It covers my desk in burnt carbon particles. That's the only thing. It's like if I just rub my hand,
Is it why your keyboard doesn't work?
yes, and it's melted. That's just on top of my laptop now. It's awful.
Lovely.
Nice.
All right. Bye.